Alright guys, so we talked about charging by contact and charging by induction on the video. We're going to do a little more with charging by contact. And this is the one where the electrons actually move from one object to another. One object will steal the electrons from another. So like I told you on the video, the example is you have a person. We'll give this person some beautiful green hair, a nice little smiley face. This person is going to have a balloon rubbed on their head. And what's going to happen is when this hair starts out, the hair has an equal amount of protons and electrons in it. Okay, we'll say, for example, it's got 2 protons and 2 electrons. The balloon, when it starts out, also, we'll say, has 2 protons and 2 electrons. Therefore, they are both electrically neutral because these protons and electrons cancel each other out, these ones cancel each other out, these cancel. So each object is electrically neutral. But what happens when you take the balloon and you rub it on the person's hair, the balloon is rubbing all over this hair, and it's actually going to steal one of these electrons. And it's going to gain that electron. Now, you have a hair that is missing an electron, so it has a positive electrical charge because it has 2 protons and 1 electron. And you have a balloon that has a negative charge because it has 3 electrons and only 2 protons. So in charging by contact, the electrons move. Okay? The electrons move from one object to another. So the electrons go to a new object. So they actually kind of like find a new home. Okay, so that one's charging by contact. Now, on the other hand, charging by induction looks like this. Okay, in charging by induction, you don't actually lose electrons from one object to another. Let's talk about that balloon that just was rubbed on the person's hair. Okay, here's our balloon. And we said after it was rubbed on the hair, it had 2 protons, but it had 3 electrons. So it had a negative charge. Now I'm going to take that balloon and I'm going to stick it on the ceiling. Okay, this is kind of like a cross section of the ceiling. And in our ceiling, it has an equal number of protons and electrons. It's all kind of balanced out here. So it is electrically neutral. But what happens when you bring the balloon toward the ceiling, the balloon has a negative charge. And since opposites attract, the positive charges are going to stay. But like charges, electrons and electrons, they repel. So what's going to happen when I put this balloon up close to the ceiling, these electrons are going to move to the back part of the ceiling. And so what this ceiling tile is going to look like, even though the ceiling tile as a whole is electrically neutral because it still has the same number of protons and neutrons, what happens is it gets divided into almost 2 different areas. So no longer is this one here, it's moved up here. No longer is this one here, it moved up here. No longer is this one here, it's moved up, and the last one did the same thing. And so when you bring the balloon up toward the ceiling, what you have is this balloon has a negative electrical charge because it's got 3 electrons and 2 protons, and this part of the ceiling tile has a positive charge because it has the 4 protons that are down toward the balloon. So this balloon is going to stick on the ceiling because there's an attraction there. Now eventually what will happen is these electrons will move back down because one of these electrons will give off to the air and get back to balance, and when these electrons move back down, the balloon will fall to the ground. So hopefully that helps you understand a little bit more about charging by contact, charging by induction. We're going to do these in class tomorrow, so you guys will get a first-hand experience with it.